Good morning, everyone. Ooh, that was pretty good. Hi, my name is Sarah Klein. I'm the Vice President for Student Affairs, and I am so thrilled to welcome all of you to Stevens. Despite the weather, I know today's going to be a fantastic day, and we're really happy to have you here on campus. So I now have the privilege of introducing the President of Stevens Institute of Technology, Dr. Nariman Farvardin. Since joining Stevens in 2011, Dr. Farvardin has been the driving force behind two ambitious 10-year strategic plans. Under his leadership, Stevens has made extraordinary advancements across all areas of the university, leading to record enrollment growth, unparalleled academic profile of students you know, improved retention, graduation, and career placement rates, unprecedented increases in research funding, and a renewed focus on research areas with significant societal benefit. Remarkable increases in philanthropic support, improved financial health, major investments in campus buildings and the IT infrastructure, and an unyielding commitment to excellence across all sectors of the university. In addition to his incredible accomplishments, Dr. Farvardin genuinely cares about the well-being and success of our students. We are truly lucky to call him our president. Please join me in welcoming President Farvardin.
Thank you very much, Dr. Klein, for those kind words. And ladies and gentlemen, I see a number of you are standing back there. Please come forward. There are a number of seats reserved here for you, right up front. I am not going to start until you get comfortably seated. Please come here. This is a very safe place, by the way. Fantastic. I suppose you prefer standing back there. Ken, is that the idea? All right, very good. All right, good morning again. I am so happy to have all of you here. Sarah, thank you for those kind words as you were speaking. I thought it would have been nice if my wife were here to hear all those nice words. And speaking about my wife, I should tell you a little funny story that happened this morning. I have been at Stevens for 13 years. This is my 13th year in this university, and we've been having an amazing experience in this university, and I'll tell you a little more about it. But the important thing is that in our household, the smarter of the two is my wife. And time I need advice on something important, obviously I go to my wife to make sure that I get her input. So in anticipation of this important event this morning, I decided to seek advice from my wife, who is not with me at this moment. We became grandparents for the first time about 7 months ago. Thank you. Thank you very much. We have one grandchild who is the cutest and the most beautiful among our grandchildren. And our daughter and our son-in-law used to live in New York. And in anticipation of having a grandchild, my wife said, I'm going to retire in order to be able to spend more time with the baby. Well, 2 months after the baby was born, our daughter and her husband decided to move to Texas. So they moved to Texas about 2 weeks ago, and at this moment, my wife is in Texas, in Austin, Texas. Nevertheless, with technology, it's easy to access people, so I FaceTimed my wife this morning, and I said, we have family weekend, and large numbers of family members are joining Stevens, and I'm supposed to give a talk, and since you're the smarter of the two, do you have any advice about what I can tell the audience to leave a positive impression on them? Makes sense, right? She was spending time with the baby. She didn't have much patience for me. She said, she said, listen, you've done these things far more often than I have. You know your audience. You know what to say. The only advice I have for you is don't try to come across as witty or charming. She said, just be yourself. All right, so I will do my best to be myself today. The idea here is there are a number of people again in the back. It's really great that there's so much interest. There are a number of chairs up here and in the middle, in the front. Please come forward. The intent is to give you a very high-level presentation about this university, the history of the university, what we're all about, and I'll try to keep this short and sweet, and we'll open the floor for questions so that we can make this interactive as much as possible. All right, I thought I would start my presentation by telling you something that I feel very strongly about, and I think something that you should care about. And that is, what is it that makes Stevens special? Or what is it that makes Stevens somewhat different from other institutions of higher education? Quite frankly, if you look at universities in the country, there's a tremendous amount of commonality between them. And you're not interested in the commonalities between the universities. You're probably very interested in what makes University A different from University B. So I'm going to focus on those things that make Stevens somewhat different from other universities, and in some cases, radically different from other universities. I would say first and foremost, I want to highlight the fact that we're called Stevens Institute of Technology, and that is because technology is woven through the fabric of this university everywhere you go, every corner you look at. Technology is a key differentiator of this university. We are strong believers in this university that we live in a world where technology is the key driver of human progress. And we try to incorporate that philosophy in everything that we do, in the way we educate our students, in the environment that we create for our students, in classroom as well as outside classroom type activities, in the way we run our administrative operations, in the way we conduct our outreach activities. A few days ago, I think it was Wednesday of last week, we had a distinguished speaker who came to our campus, the current CEO of Bristol Myers Squibb, which is one of the largest biopharmaceutical companies in the world. And he gave a lecture about the role of technology in society, and in particular, the role of technology in biopharmaceuticals. And there were a number of significant takeaways there, but I want to remind all of you of one extremely important fact. Probably many of you know this. Over time, because of advancements of science and technology, life expectancy has been going up. But do you know that every 4 years, life expectancy goes up by 1 year? Every 4 years you wait, life expectancy goes up 1 year. You wait 100 years, and life expectancy in the world has gone up 25 years. And at this point, there is no slowing down of this slope of progress. So imagine, in the year 2123, 100 years from now, the babies who are born in that year are likely to have a life expectancy about 20, 25 years higher than the babies who are born this year. Why is that? That is exclusively because of advancements in science and technology. So that's a very simple manifestation of how technology is changing our lives. But if I were to ask you, where are some of the most interesting developments in our world? What are some of the most exciting companies in our country? Isn't it true that you would say I don't know, Apple and Google and Tesla and Amazon and the likes of them? And isn't it true that there's not one of these companies that is not exclusively driven by technology? This is a very powerful differentiator for this university. And you will hear from me later that because of our commitment to the importance of technology, we have given this university and the students and the graduates of this university a leg up when they go to the real world. Stevens was established in 1870, and from day one, this university focused on rigor and breadth of its education. And another thing that we are very deliberate about is that Stevens' education is very much a experiential-focused education. Therefore, when students graduate from Stevens, they don't need to go through another series of training by the corporation that hires them in order to get ready to be productive. By and large, they can be productive from the get-go. Innovation and entrepreneurship has always been part of the DNA of this university, and we also tend to be extremely collaborative, very agile in responding to opportunities that arise from time to time, and equally agile in responding to the challenges that arise quite regularly. We live in a very dynamic world, and routinely we're confronted with situations and problems and difficulties that we were not expecting before, but we are very quick on our feet and we are able to react very quickly. We have a close-knit community. I actually call it a family, and that is a distinctive characteristic of Stevens. People know each other and people care about each other, and people are available to help one another when we need help, and that applies to our students, it applies to faculty members, it applies to staff members, it applies to the president of the university. We kind of failed in our preparation for the day today, and the weather is not quite as perfect as we had thought we were planning it to be. Nevertheless, we have a beautiful campus. I'm sure most of you are already familiar with the campus, but if you're not, take a few minutes when it's not raining hard outside today to walk the campus and see how beautiful it is and how well it's integrated in the city of Hoboken. But more importantly than the beauty of our campus is the proximity of the campus to one of the most vibrant economic centers in the world, and the availability of unparalleled opportunities that are available to our community, in particular to our students. That combination of a beautiful city in a very urban area with access to unbelievable opportunities make this university very, very special. I call our location our unfair advantage. And finally, as you will hear from me throughout this presentation, there's a tremendous amount of momentum in this university. This university is on the rise, and that gives us pride and excitement and hope about the future. I thought I would share with you a couple of minutes worth of introduction about the history of the university. I've already mentioned that the university was established in 1870, 153 years ago. The patriarch of the family that founded this university was Colonel John Stevens, who was an officer in George Washington's army. He was the treasurer of the state of New Jersey at the time, and at the same time, he was an amazing entrepreneur and engineer. Colonel John was particularly interested in designing, developing, building, and commercializing the most advanced steam engines of his time. Steam engine was in vogue in those days. We're talking about 200 years ago. And by developing these better, more advanced steam engines, he was able to deploy them in a variety of commercial applications, mostly applicable to transportation. And in collaboration with 3 of his sons, they built this conglomerate whose focus was design, development, construction of better steam engines and using them in locomotives, using them in boats, in ferries, in ocean-going vessels and the like, and they generated a lot of wealth for the family. One of the 3 sons who worked with Colonel John was Edwin Augustus Stevens. He passed away in 1868, and in his will, he had asked that a portion of the estate of his family be dedicated to the creation, the establishment of the first College of Mechanical Engineering in the United States of America. So that part of the wealth of the family was dedicated to creating Stevens Institute of Technology. Edwin passed away in 1868, and the person who was able to carry out the wishes of the husband was his wife, Martha Baird Stevens, who was a philanthropist and successfully executed on the wishes of her husband. And in 1870 was born Stevens Institute of Technology. Without going into too much detail, I must tell you that this family has done an enormous amount of good for the country. From my perspective, one of the most important contributions of Colonel John was that in 1790, he petitioned to the United States Congress the establishment of the US patent law. So we have a patent law in this country because of the foresight of Colonel John. But they did a lot of other interesting things that I don't have time to discuss today. Fast forward in 2023, we are a university with nearly 9,000 students, to be more precise, 8,750 students. We are almost equally divided between undergraduate and graduate. We have 4,100 undergraduate students and 4,700 graduate students, but 900, a little more than 900 of our graduate students are actually in what is called Stevens Online. They're exclusively online. So the number of graduate students on campus is just shy of 4,000. We have 1,100 full-time faculty and staff, and a large number of additional part-time faculty and staff. Research awards in the university exceeded $75 million last year, and the total university budget is just shy of $400 million. The academic enterprise is organized into 4 schools: the School of Engineering and Science, School of Business, School of Systems and Enterprises, and the School of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences. I spoke with you about this university being on the rise. Let me try to provide a little context and try to defend my position by way of facts. I don't know if there are any people in the audience who are associated with higher education in the United States. If you are, could you please raise your hands? Yeah, that's good. So we have a number of higher education people. Maybe some of you are faculty members, maybe you're staff members, so you might have an idea about what's going on in higher education in the country. But most others are sort of consumers of higher education services. So you may not know about the inner works of higher education. But higher education has been under a tremendous amount of stress, I would say, over the course of the past decade or so. With COVID, this situation was exacerbated, and I anticipate that this difficult situation is likely to continue. There is not one week that goes by without some university either announcing closure or a merger or a significant downsizing of some of their programs, closure of some colleges, some departments, dismissal of faculty and staff members. Universities are under a tremendous amount of pressure. There are a number of reasons for this that are beyond the scope of this discussion. If there's any interest, we can cover some of them in the Q&A session. But what is important, and the main message that I want to share with this audience, is that Stevens Institute of Technology is bucking almost all of the trends in higher education. Bucking almost all of the trends in higher education, and I'll try to prove that to you. There has been a tremendous amount of achievement in this university over the course of the past decade or so. The external recognition of what is happening at Stevens is on the rise, and there's been a tremendous amount of improvement at Stevens either in the form of improving the physical infrastructure of the campus or the type and quality and number of faculty who are doing incredible things in the university, and that is adding to the recognition of the university in terms of an environment that promotes an intellectually rich environment for our students and ensures student success. One thing that I want everybody to know, I have been in the business of higher education for actually a long time. I must tell you, I've been in the business of education for even a longer time. Maybe this is a good departure for me to tell you something interesting. How long do you think I've been in education? This gentleman sitting up front. Yes, exactly. Take a guess, look at me. And 40 years in education. How about over here? The gentleman with the Stevens hoodie. Pardon me? How many years? 40? 40 is a good number. How about over there, the lady in burgundy sweater? Take a guess. How many? 35? 35? Any other wild ideas from maybe back there in the middle? 50. I look that old, huh? Very good. I like that. I have been in the business of education for 58 years. And I know many of you are trying to compute my age. And I will tell you, I will be 85. Not anytime soon. "58, however, is accurate. I was 9 years old when I was asked by my math teacher to become a tutor to a classmate. I did that. It's a very interesting story, but we don't have time for it. I was successful. She did well. I got a tremendous amount of gratification out of that experience. And at age 9, being the obstinate boy that I was, I decided to be a teacher for life. So I have been teaching every year since that age. So 58 plus 9 is 67. That's my age, by the way. So why did I tell you this? Because I wanted to say that I've been in the business of education for a long time, but indeed I have been in the business of higher education, kind of formally making a living out of it over the course of the past exactly 40 years. So I started my career in 1983, so that makes it exactly 40 years. So I know a little bit about higher education and what is going on here. And I can tell you, what is happening in this university is very, very unusual. So I want to share with you in one slide what is happening in this university that makes me so proud. Over the course of the past 12 years, and that's when I joined this university, so I can legitimately speak about that period of time. The demand for Stevens education as reflected in the number of applications for undergraduate admission has gone up 284%. Almost 300%, almost fourfold. Think about it. The demand for a university goes up over a period of about a decade, fourfold. As a result of this increase in demand, unlike many other universities in the country, we've been under a lot of pressure, and we've been actually happy about it, to grow. So undergraduate enrollment has actually grown about 70%, 69% to be precise. But because the demand has grown 284% and the growth has been only 69%, we've been far more selective. So, message to your parents, your children, the boys and girls that you've sent to this university, are brilliant. They are amazingly smart. They have been admitted to a university where if the president of the university were to apply, he would not get admitted. So, congratulations to all of you. The university is far more diverse, no matter how you look at it. The number of women who join Stevens as a first-year student has gone up 165%. And the number of underrepresented minority students who join Stevens as a first-year student has gone up 230%. And something that is a significant milestone for this institution. You know, one thing that all universities keep track of, and by and large they do a very poor job of the students who join a university as a freshman, what percentage of them ever receive a degree and graduate successfully? For your information, the national average is about 50%. Out of every 2 students who go to college in the United States, 1 never receives a degree. That's sad, by the way. At Stevens Institute of Technology, that percentage reached 90% for the first time this year. So we've gone up 11%. And for your information, among the 4,000 colleges and universities in this country, only 38 of them have achieved this 90% graduation rate. Less than 1% of colleges in the country graduate 90% or more of their graduates. This is a big deal, and Stevens is now in this very elite group. If you look at demand for our graduate programs, that has gone up almost 400%, to be precise, 385%. If you look at the growth at graduate level, it has gone up 57%. If you look at the growth of the faculty, up 45%. If you look at the growth of tenure stream faculty members, 77%. So as enrollment has grown, we have increased the size of the faculty to ensure that we continue to give high quality education to our students. Research programs have grown almost threefold, 198% up. The financial health of the university has improved dramatically. The operating revenue of the university has gone up about 120%. The alumni and friends of the university are obviously, like any other human being, are interested in being part of a success story. So they are excited about what's happening in the university, and they're becoming much more generous. The annual philanthropic support that the university receives has gone up 291%. The endowment of the university has doubled, and lots of other positive things. We created the School of Business, which we didn't have. We have invested more than $500 million in improving the physical plant of the university, buildings and laboratories and classrooms and the like. And I'm running out of time and out of breath, but this is what this beautiful university looks like. An unbelievable amount of progress in every front, and that's what I mean by bucking the trends in higher education. Another thing that I know students and parents care about is what happens when one graduates from Stevens. Well, a lot of great things happen. The first great thing that happens is that the great majority of the students who graduate from Stevens land a great job. For students who graduated in May of 2022, a year and a few months ago, 97.3% of them had either secured a job or was pursuing graduate school within 6 months. We have to keep track of this particular statistic within a 6-month period, and we have to report it. 97.3%, one of the highest such percentages in the entire nation. The average starting salary of students who graduated from Stevens that year was $84,700. And one statistics that I'm amazed with is that when students, many of the students, of course, have to borrow some money in order to come to Stevens. Stevens is you know better than I do. It is not an inexpensive place. But the problem is, the fact is, this is no problem at all. On average, it takes a year and a few months for students to pay back their loan. For some other universities, it takes 20 years to pay back the loan. For Stevens graduates, it takes on average about a year and a couple of months. This was in the most recent report of the Wall Street Journal, by the way. Now, what percentage of our graduates default on their loan payment? Almost zero. As you can see here on the slide, 0.4%. Almost nobody defaults. The national average of loan default rate is 9%. This is the lowest, one of the lowest in the nation, and the lowest in the state of New Jersey. We've launched a whole host of different programs. I will not mention them to you. Programs for extremely academically talented students, such as the Pinnacle Scholars Program, the Clark Scholars Program. It is a program that provides an unbelievable set of financial assistance, as well as a lot of support programs. A program called Stevens ACES, where our focus is identifying and nurturing and supporting students who are talented, but they come from underserved communities. We are very strong believers in the role of an institution of higher education as doing good for the world. We are strong believers that talent is distributed uniformly in the world, but opportunity is not distributed uniformly in the world. There are certain talented kids who are born in a family with significant resources, and they're well taken care of for life. And there's some other talented kids who are born in families with extremely modest means, and they're raised in very underserved communities. It is our job to find these talented people and bring opportunities for personal and professional advancement to them. And Stevens ACES is a program that we've designed to do exactly that. There are other programs such as iSTEM, which is a program designed for intuitive engineers, people who have a special knack for solving engineering problems. And these people are not necessarily the kind of people who score high in their SAT score, or they may even fail a course if they're not interested because they're completely focused on solving some interesting real problems. We also have a program to identify them, bring them here, nurture their talent, and make them successful. And a new initiative, a relatively new initiative at Stevens, is a host of living learning communities that we have created. I have taken more time than I had intended, but Stevens is becoming a leader in a number of significant research areas. These areas have been very carefully selected. We are still a modest-sized university. We are not a huge institution. We are not tiny. So we have to be very careful about how we pick our priority areas and how we invest in them. These areas are carefully selected with a few things in mind: opportunities for external funding for these programs, opportunities for significant societal impact, and connection to the existing strength among our faculty. So these areas include, obviously, artificial intelligence. There is nothing that you can do in this world anymore without having some tools related to artificial intelligence. A lot of interesting work taking place at Stevens in the broad area of brain research with focus on understanding diseases such as Alzheimer's, epilepsy, Parkinson's, and the like. A lot of interesting work on cancer research, and in particular in drug discovery with interesting applications from machine learning and artificial intelligence to accelerate the process of drug discovery. A lot of work in energy innovation, ranging from energy distribution, smart grid, to energy storage and advanced battery technologies. Stevens is becoming the de facto go-to place in the country for financial technologies. We have been investing in this area for about 10 years, 12 years, and about a year and a half ago, the National Science Foundation decided to establish the only center in the nation in the area of financial technologies, and Stevens is the anchor institution to host that activity. This is an industry university collaborative research center, and major corporations such as Charles Schwab, Vanguard, Goldman Sachs, UBS, and many others of these household names that don't come to my mind right now are already members of our FinTech Center. Stevens is a leader also in the area of quantum technologies, in particular quantum computing. A lot of interesting work in robotics, including underwater precision navigation, and Stevens has been in the business of urban and coastal resiliency for many decades. I mentioned earlier, Stevens has been investing a tremendous amount in its infrastructure, both its information technology infrastructure and its physical plant and physical infrastructure. We built or completely gutted and renovated 8 buildings, and renovated about 300 other facilities, laboratories, classrooms, offices, study spaces, the part of the physical plant that you may not even be able to see normally, such as the HVAC systems and the like. And we continue to do that. The overall campus physical infrastructure is far more modern than it has ever been. Some of you may be familiar with our new University Center complex. That's a project that we completed about a year ago. And as you can see, I love this particular picture. We had a drone that went over the Hudson River, took this beautiful picture of our University Center complex on the left of the screen, juxtaposed against the Hudson Yards development on the right side of the screen. And that picture tells you the whole story. That picture tells you about the unfair advantage that I was talking about. We're also extremely proud about what's happening with our athletics programs. We have a phenomenal set of athletic programs. Last year, Stevens won 10 conference championships in the sports that I have outlined here. In particular, men's volleyball won national championship. Men's soccer came third in the nation, and wrestling 7th in the country. Overall, the athletic program last year was ranked 18th in the nation. The year before that, we were ranked 10th in the country. So 2 years in a row in the top 20 among about 440 universities. The university's star is on the rise, and this is manifested by how mainstream media covers stories about Stevens. Obviously, I don't want to go over these items one by one, but as you can see, the New York Times, Washington Post, CNN, Time Magazine, Fortune, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, they cover stories about Stevens routinely. I am done, and I am at your disposal to answer any questions you might have. Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you found this informative. Yes, please.
What's next?
You know, We have an unrelenting attitude about our commitment to excellence. And if that is your attitude, there is no end to this effort. We are never going to stop. It doesn't matter how much better we become. We are going to be focused on 3 things. Because we are intent in building a great university. A great university consists of 3 things. And if those 3 things are in place, you don't even need a president. So I'm actually writing the recipe for my own demise. A great university needs great faculty, intellectual leaders who are experts, the best in the world in what they do, and have the capacity and interest to impart their knowledge upon the students and to advance the frontiers of knowledge by way of research. That's number 1. Number 2, a great university consists of great students. Students who have an interest in learning, an interest in making the world a better place, a lot of fire in their belly, and people who are ethical, understand the value of integrity, and the role the youth can play in making our world a better place. And the third thing is great facilities, great infrastructure. You need the right buildings, you need the right laboratories, you need the right library, you need the right dormitories. You need an environment that supports those great faculty and those great students. That's next. Yes?
Gosh, if you got started at age 9, I'd say that's child labor we can all feel good about. It seems like last time I checked, the planet is undergoing some rather difficult global problems. How do you think about increasing Stevens' footprint across the world by bringing students from other universities or pushing further on study abroad programs, things of that nature?
That's a very good question, and this has the idea of extending our tentacles to be much more present, and much more visible, and therefore much more influential outside the boundaries of our immediate region has been a priority for the past 12 years, and now it's becoming even more of a priority. So, first of all, I would say we're working relentlessly to recruit students from other parts of the world in a very deliberate way, by the way, because recruiting from certain parts of the world is trivial, and recruiting from some other parts of the world is complicated and requires a lot of strategic thinking. Secondly, we want to create an environment where our own students have a global perspective, and you can do that in part by ensuring that in their classrooms here, there are students from other parts of the world, and in part by ensuring that we send our students out to those other places via study abroad or a whole host of different types of study abroad programs. And in fact, I don't know if this has been a collusion on your part or not, but I received an email last night from the director of our study abroad program to make a statement. I don't know if she has asked you to plant this question or not, but she sent me an email last night to tell me that the number of study abroad participants this year is twice the number last year this time, which was twice the number the year before that. So she was very proud of it, and she wanted me to send a message to the audience today, in particular parents. Please ensure your children have a US passport if they don't. That's a necessity. We live in a world that has become so much more connected, so much smaller. So in addition to opportunities for expanding the reach of our programs for students, we are also doing a lot of that for our faculty. We have a lot of international collaborations, a lot of agreements between Stevens and universities in various parts of the world. I don't know if you heard this, but there was recently a competition launched by Amazon called the Alexa Prize. This was a competition to develop algorithms, artificial intelligence-based algorithms, to enhance the human interaction with Alexa. Stevens participated in it. We won second place in the world. And the lead person of that project was a student from Brazil, a PhD student from Brazil. So we have collaborations with Brazil, we have collaborations with Italy, we have collaborations with China, we have collaborations with India, we have collaborations with South Korea. And then one other thing that I would say related to the question that you asked is, once upon a time, Stevens Institute of Technology was very much a New Jersey focused. We're no longer that, okay? I think this year, Sarah, do you remember from how many states we had students? I think 45 states. This fall, we have students from 45 states. So we bring students from all over the country, but there are certain states where we have very deliberate and focused efforts to recruit students. We bring a lot of students from California, from Texas, from Arizona, from Illinois, from Florida, and of course the neighboring states. That's a no-brainer, that's automatic. So extending our reach. Other questions? Oh, how about up there? Hello. Do we have any questions up there? Yes, there's another question here. Can you use the microphones because?
Yeah, sure. You obviously have an advantage of being close to New York. The disadvantage is you're not near San Francisco. Lehigh, opened a branch. Lehigh is, in Bethlehem, opened a branch in San Francisco to try to get over that disadvantage. That's one question I have. And the second unrelated question is, if you get some more details on the fintech collaboration that you're having.
Yeah, so if I misunderstood your question, please correct me, because I think the microphone was not on. But the first question is, some universities are opening branches in other parts of the country, and the second question was to say a little more about the fintech collaboration. Yes, we don't have other branches in other parts of the country, and quite frankly, I don't anticipate that happening anytime soon. Part of our success story here is because of where we are located. It's because of our unfair advantage. Students gravitate to Stevens Institute of Technology because they love this campus, because they love the access to opportunities that this particular area offers. So if I were to open an office in Wichita, Kansas, no one will go there. Okay? Now, that was obviously an extreme example. You could say, how about opening an office in San Francisco, which I think these days is not exactly the most desirable place to go to, but things may change and improve over there. There are other places. You could say, how about Austin, Texas, which is a very desirable place these days. I think right now our focus is to be really, really good and do things extremely well where we are. At some point, we may not be able to grow further in this site because we will run out of physical space, and we will explore other options, but we're not there yet. In terms of fintech, once upon a time, for those of you who are in the business of finance, and I'm assuming there are a number of you who are somehow related to finance, finance was not considered to be a technology or science-oriented discipline. Finance today is becoming increasingly data-oriented, technology-oriented. We recognize this because of the character of our university, because of our ever-present role of technology in everything that we do, that we recognize finance is moving in that direction. So more than 12 years ago, Stevens Institute of Technology was one of the first universities that ever decided to establish an undergraduate degree program called Quantitative Finance. For your information, quantitative finance at Stevens has more courses in math than any engineering discipline. It is a heavy-duty math program. It merges math and computer science and programming with the basic principles of finance. That program became very successful. We then benefited from that success to build on that success, hired additional faculty members, enhanced our research programs, built incredible facilities. If you have not seen our facilities, you should see them. State of the art. They're like one of these beautiful trading spaces in Wall Street. And then at some point, the National Science Foundation recognized that the United States of America is losing its edge in the broad area of quantitative finance and financial technologies. Some other places in the world are now way ahead of the US. I heard kind of an interesting anecdote. In China, if you see a poor person, a beggar in the street asking for money, they ask you to send them the money by using your phone. They don't accept cash. So it was because of that recognition that there was a call for proposals to establish a center, a research center in the area of financial technologies. Stevens, because we had the wherewithal, we had invested already in that area, we had the right faculty, we had the right facilities, we teamed up with Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, which is in Troy, New York. We submitted a proposal to the National Science Foundation. I don't know how many hundred proposals were submitted, but we were the one that was selected. There's only one industry university collaborative research center in the area of financial technologies in the United States, and that is anchored at Stevens Institute of Technology. There are, the last time I counted, there were 13 major corporations that have joined this center. And the way it works is that those corporations that join the center, they get a seat on an advisory board. They all have to make a financial contributions. The totality of the financial contributions goes into a pool of funds that becomes available on an annual basis for research. And those companies that have a seat on the advisory board, they're the ones who are dealing with these problems in fintech. They select a set of projects that then our faculty and students work on to sort of do additional research. And if you want to know a lot more, 3 seats behind you is the Dean of the School of Business, Gregory Prastakos, and he can give you far more details than I can. Maybe one more question. Is there a question back there?
Yeah.
No, you were just saying, oh yeah.
No, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, my son is a first-year quantitative finance student.
Fantastic.
That's why we're here. So I had a question regarding AI, because this seems to be...
Regarding AI?
Yes, and what is Stevens' strategy to incorporate AI in its curriculum?
A very good question. So this is about AI, artificial intelligence. Our strategy is to be a leader in this life-changing technology. In my opinion, it is a big mistake for a university to not try to play a significant role in this area, because that's a recipe for falling behind very quickly. Also, by the way, so that you all know, I'm an electrical engineer by education, so I understand a little bit about artificial intelligence and machine learning. Artificial intelligence is likely to be of the same level of impact as the internet was probably 30 years ago, 40 years ago, okay? So brace for a brave new world because of the impact of artificial intelligence, the way it's going to impact our healthcare systems, our financial systems, our transportation systems, our energy systems, the way it's going to lead to the disappearance of many jobs, and the way it's going to lead to the creation of some new jobs that we don't know what they are today. It's going to be life-changing. What is our strategy? in fact, a few years ago, in anticipation of what I was just telling you, we decided to create the Stevens Institute for Artificial Intelligence. So this is a research center that has been established at Stevens with participation from faculty from all over the university. There are about 100 faculty members at Stevens who are working on one aspect or another of artificial intelligence. The director of this research institute is Dr. Brendan Englot. We have a whole host of activities that go beyond just research. They're related to outreach activities, education programs. We have master's degrees in this area, growing number of education programs, and lecture series and the like. So big time activity. And if you remember on the slide that I showed you on research, the very first one on the top left was in artificial intelligence. I think we have covered all the questions. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, President Favardin. So we have a whole host of activities for the rest of the day. Just to give you an overview, it's also online. Next up in here at 11:30 will be a presentation by our Career Center staff, so you're welcome to stay here and wait for that. We have open houses throughout the afternoon. We have one at the library with the archives and special collections. We have a lab open house on Carnegie first floor. All of those begin at 11:30 a.m. From 11:30 to 3, we have our Harvest Festival and lunch. As you can imagine, with the rain, we had to make some changes to the plan. So all those tents that are out on the lawn across from the University Center are where we're serving the food. So you can stop by a tent to pick up your food, and then you can find seats in really many different places on campus, in the University Center, in the Schaefer Athletic Center, in the Walker Gym. There's plenty of seats all around campus for you to park yourself with your food. I will tell you that the two tents, the two larger tents, both have the exact same food. So just to reduce times on lines, but you don't need to go into each and find out what's there. They're the exact same food. We have a Shabbat brunch with Hillel at noon in Gateway North 103. On the note of artificial intelligence, we have two fantastic lectures by Stevens faculty on artificial intelligence today. One's called Going Beyond the Hype. It's at 12:30 in Howe 102. And one's called Love Your Monsters, Reading Frankenstein in a Time of AI, and that's at 4 p.m. in Howe 102. Throughout the day in the University Center, you can see student performances from the jazz band and our a cappella groups. We have two soccer games today. Women's soccer versus DeSales is 1 o'clock if you want to brave the weather on the field. And then men's soccer versus DeSales as well is at 4 o'clock on the field. We have a number of different informational sessions on mental health, fraternity and sorority life, study abroad throughout the afternoon. And then this evening, there's a concert in the Great Hall of the library at 6:30. And then, if you're into it, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem movie, 6:30 p.m. in the Tech Flex on the lower level of the University Center. So we hope you have a lovely day with your students. I'll be around all day if you have other questions or want to connect. Thank you so much again for being here.
Well, good morning, everyone. How are you on this rainy Saturday morning? So thank you so much for coming out to Stevens today, and I hope you continue to have a wonderful, wonderful day. My name is Sharina Walker. I'm the Executive Director for the Stevens Career Center, and what that means is I am responsible for setting the overall strategic plan and strategy for career development for all students on the campus. That includes undergraduate and graduate students who attend Stevens, as well as our early or recent graduate alumni. I really love what I do. My team loves what we do, and we have a full team who supports your students in their career development. And what I would like to do today is just spend a few moments walking you through some of the things that we will do to support your student, or we are already doing, supporting your students. If you saw me speaking to parents up here in the front, there was a first-year student telling me about all the interviews that he had with Merck and J&J, and it's not often that first-year students have interviews, but he evidently started coming. He told me working with us the second week of his, on campus, and as a result of that, he's been prepared. So the most important thing is for students to understand that they are not alone, that we are here to help them, and that there's a whole team behind them to help them along that journey. So sometimes students want to do it all on their own, and it's not necessary. We're here. That's why we're here. We exist just to help students along, and we come into these jobs just to be able to do that. I started my career in the private sector. I am an engineer and transitioned into human resources later in my career, leading global talent acquisition for a corporation in New York. I've owned an executive search firm, and I just love talking to people about job placement and navigating the processes. And I started my higher ed career at Princeton University, then went out to California at a liberal arts institution, and then came here to Stevens, kind of rounding out my career as an engineer and now helping engineers and liberal arts students find their path. And what brings us all so much joy is them making that leap into their professional lives, and when they have joy, when they come to us excited, we celebrate, and we truly do celebrate each student, because it's the thing that keeps us going, is seeing how happy they are. So I hope you learned something today. I'll be happy to answer your questions near the end. So what we're going to cover today is a little bit of, like I said, a walk through each of the years, the first year, sophomore and junior years, getting work experience, and then that transition from college to professional life. So when we think about the first year, one of the things that I always try to inform students, or at least parents about, is to look at the 4 years in the way that we do. There are 8 semesters and 3 summers. And I focus on the 3 summers because that's really all it is. Although 4 years seems like a long time, most of the work that they will do will be during those summers. Co-op students, which are primarily the engineers, they are working during the semesters. But for everyone else who is not in the co-op program, they will primarily focus on summer internships. So just remember, you only have 3 summers. So what will you do with those 3 summers? So when you're in the first year, one of the things, we've developed pretty much an easy roadmap for students to follow. And if they follow this easy roadmap, it will be enough to get them going. So nothing I'm going to tell you here today is going to be the silver bullet. Employment doesn't work that way, and I know parents understand that. Employment, whether you're a student or an adult, or a professional, is still hard work as far as getting a job. It's no different for a student in getting the job as it is for a professional. And keep in mind that what students go through today is very, very rigorous. We've seen students go through 5 rounds of interviews, behavioral assessments, virtual, video interviews, in-person interviews. So the job search for a student where you applied and you have one interview and you get the internship, that doesn't exist anymore. It's a lot of work. So What's more important for students to understand is their preparation, and that's what we're there to do. So how do you get started? One is come to the Career Center often and early. So I always say early and often. The more you come, the better prepared you will be. It takes time, just like with anyone else. So we have 4 primary workshops that we encourage students to take. SCC 101 is our Introduction to Career Services and Co-op. SCC 101 just tells, it's a 50-minute workshop. They only take it once. It's not a course that they have to take in the semester. So they can, everything is virtual or in person. They have the option. We offer them so they can attend these workshops right from their dorm room, or they can come in. It depends on their way of learning. So we offer it both ways. I keep moving away because I want to talk to you. So if you can't hear me, I'm like, I feel like I got to stay here. So just let me know. It introduces them to the Career Center. What do we have to offer? Who are the people on our team? What are the resources available to you? We tell them about Handshake. You've probably heard about Handshake. Handshake is the career management platform that's used by many, many career centers to connect students with employers. How to use Handshake and what other resources do we have available. For those who are eligible for co-op, we tell them a little bit about co-op, but there's much more. But it's really an introduction to get used to us. What do we have to offer you as a student? SCC 102 is resume writing. It is a basic resume writing workshop. Again, all of these workshops are 50 minutes. It's 50 minutes because we give them 10 minutes to go to class. When it was an hour, they were like, we can't get to class, so we made it 50 minutes. So they might want to get some lunch or something like that. Again, everything is virtual or in person, and it takes that that resume they may have had in high school and turns it into a college level resume. Or if they already have a resume, we now integrate all of their Stevens coursework and other things that they may be involved in to their resume. And then they can come and meet with an advisor to, once they have that basic college level resume, meeting with the advisors to continue to improve year after year. If you have an internship, how do you integrate that? You're involved in a club, how do you integrate that into your resume in a way that's not just putting on the resume, what are the employers looking for and what are you interested in? So there's 2 phases that we have to think about. What is the student's true interest? And then what is the employer looking for? And how do we meld those 2 together? Meet with a career coach virtually or in person. As I said, everything's virtual or in person. They can meet from their dorm, so there's no reason for your student to say, I couldn't meet with anybody. They're not telling you the truth if they tell you that, okay? Sometimes because we get filled up pretty quickly, it's several weeks out, but if they have an urgent matter, for example, they have an interview coming up, they just got a job offer and they have to make a decision really quickly, all they do is contact the Career Center at careercenter@stevens.edu, and we will squeeze them into an appointment and make sure that their needs are met. So they can meet with a career coach anytime between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Our career coaches are professionals as well as peer career coaches. We have students who start working in the Career Center in their first year. They learn how to run the Career Center and meet and greet students and employers at the front desk, hang posters around campus, help us with our employer events, setting up, checking students in, and then they are eligible to become peer career coaches. As a peer career coach, we send them through similar training as our professional staff. They train for about a semester before they meet with students. Once they pass training, we have a little graduation in the Career Center, and then they are in Handshake just as our professional career coaches, so students can actually schedule. The reason I created the Peer Career Coach program, which is similar at other career centers, but what it does is for those students who are uncomfortable meeting with our professional staff, it allows them to meet with a peer. And these peers know exactly how to coach them. They are supervised by our professionals, and if they run into a question they don't know, they come and ask us, but they're really good. They've been with us, our first group has been with us for 3 years, so they're now juniors. They are also offering resume writing workshops now, so we have students who lead the resume writing workshops. We also, and then they meet with students. So your student can choose to meet with a student, or to meet with a professional anytime, and whatever feels comfortable for them. I'll use, again, the student that was at the front with his parents. I said, who are you meeting with? Because he said he had these interviews. And he was able to tell me, I met with Megan and I met with Aaron. Well, Aaron's a biomedical engineer. He's his third year with us, and he's a student. And Megan leads our career coaching team. So the fact that he knew them by first name, I knew that he would if he's been coming to the Career Center. That's the expectation we should have for every student, that you know people in the Career Center by first name, and they know you. And so when an employer comes by and they talk to us and they're in the Career Center and they tell us what they're looking for, we can tell those students, hey, look, so-and-so is here. Make sure you sign up for this event. So we do that all the time. We are in the matchmaking business. I'm not saying that we do that for every student, but this is what we're connecting students and with employers and opportunities based on their interests. And then attend employer events to learn about companies. So the key in the first year is to just come and explore. So yes, it is harder for, I shouldn't say hard, it isn't often that first year students get internships, but it happens. The more you're prepared, because they're competing with the sophomore, juniors, and seniors as well. So they're all competing, and with students all across the country. So I always tell students, you're not just competing with Stephen's student, you're competing with every student across the country who's looking for an opportunity. So the better prepared they are, and the more they come to these events, it increases their comfort level. So if you do attend a virtual career fair, it might not be great for you, but you at least know by the time you're really ready how this thing works. What do I have to do? Maybe I need to meet with this career coach before I go to the career fair or a networking night. Maybe I need to do this, but to experience it, and then you're better prepared. It takes some of the anxiety away. Okay, so career education is a big part of what we do, and in career education, we call that how do we educate them about opportunities and preparing. So this is just a snapshot of one of the flyers that students will get at the beginning of the year. What you'll see is all of the workshops that I told you about. You'll see they're virtual and where they're located, what time they are offered, and then they go into Handshake, and there's a broader description. So when your student will say, well, they don't have these things, and I say this because I know I get the parent calls, they call sometimes, and I have to answer like, no. And the other thing is, in Handshake, we see everything your student does. I know every appointment they've attended, I know every workshop they've attended, I know every employer event, and I know every job they applied to in Handshake. We don't have the information on if they applied outside, for example, on a company website or something like that. But their activity through Handshake we see, so when a student comes to meet with us, we can go through that to see what have they been doing, where have they been applying, and for those things that they're applying to outside of Handshake, we give them a document to track those in, that when they come to the appointment, we can have a really robust conversation with them about, where have they been looking, to what I tell my team is to diagnose their situation, to analyze it and determine where are the roadblocks so that we can overcome those roadblocks. So there's some very strategic ways of handling career development to get a student moving, and it's the reason I love what I do, because it's like taking each student and reading the tea leaves and then helping them to find a path. So offer this, sometimes we won't give them the whole semester. Sometimes we'll give them just the month of September if there's a lot going on. They'll receive one of these. Then they'll get the month of October and the month of December. It just depends. Sometimes they'll find the whole semester when we send them the flyers. So a couple of things. They will receive this every week. We send out a Monday email, so you can always ask your student, did they look at the Monday email? The Monday email that comes from the Career Center these are some of the resources we offer. These are events or recruiters that are coming to campus, and always at the bottom, because we know they like to scroll straight to the bottom, are jobs. And those jobs are in there based on their school, so they're school-focused jobs. To get them going, they might not be the right job for them, but for them to click one of those links that will lead them to Handshake, that will open up lots of jobs to them. The other thing is with Handshake, just like anything else, is AI-based. The more information the student puts into the system, the more Handshake will feed them opportunities. So if they have nothing in there, and I have a student account in Handshake, and I change my major regularly just to see what I'm going to get. So one week I might be a biology major, the next week I'm a visual arts and technology major, and in a month I might be a computer science major. If I have nothing else in there in just my major, and there's already information already loaded in Handshake for them, when you open Handshake and go into your account and go to jobs, it will already give you the jobs for your major, because Handshake is designed to encourage the student. It's designed to work with students, so it's designed to help make it easy for the student. All they need for the student is to start clicking, just like anything else they do. If they start clicking, or if they start to add in what are my interests, then it'll start to feed them information about jobs that relate to their interests. So students have to connect with the Career Center to start to learn how to use it. But generally, our students are already technically advanced, so all they have to do is play around with it, and Handshake will be their best friend, to be honest with you. And it is not the only place they should apply. They should talk to their uncles, their grandparents, their mothers, their fathers. Anywhere you can get a job, get a job. So it's not just Handshake, it's the company's website, it's Indeed, it's anything, place they can find a job. Okay, what's next? So now, sophomore and junior year. So now, you had 3 summers, and what do you do during that summer of your first year? If you don't get an internship, get a part-time job, get some type of work experience that starts to teach you what work life is all about. Do research, build a computer. If they do something that's fun, have fun over the summer. It shouldn't be all work. I think it's important for students to have fun, but to also think about how do you take fun and do some of the things that will allow you to build skills. The first year is about skill building and exploration and increasing their knowledge in whatever way they can. If they get an internship, great. It's always great to get an internship close to home or with a family member that you know, or even if somebody has a small business, it doesn't matter. As long as they are learning some work skills, that will be valuable. So now we're in the sophomore year where we have 6 semesters left and 2 summers. We're down to 2 summers. What are you going to do now with 2 summers? So that sophomore year is critical. And that junior, now we're down to 4 semesters and only 1 summer. That 4 years looks very different the way I put it up here, right? 4 years seem like a long time. But in the world of work, it's a short period of time. So when you think about how do you use that time, I always want students to have this visual of so they know that this is a time to take action. Okay. So you would have already completed SEC 101 and SEC 102. So now I'm just saying somewhere in your sophomore year, SEC 103 and SEC 104. So job search strategies and interviewing skills. Again, job search strategies is going to introduce them to what do they need to know. They'll ask them, they'll talk about geographic area, because students don't think about where can I work? It's a big world out there, so if mom and dad wants them to stay close to home, then that's their personal preference, but it's something that they have to think about because it will impact their job search. If they want to go to California, we try to narrow them so that they don't say the East Coast. Well, the East Coast is really big. And where do you want to be on the East Coast? Do you want to be in the New York area? Do you want to be in Boston? Where do you want to be? And you can have numerous places that you want to be, because that helps you have to look at what employers are in that area. They may want to do entertainment, but entertainment is big in New York and Los Angeles. So we have to think about those things. So it is important for students and parents to talk about where do you want to be? And if they want to stay in the New York area, that's fine. Many of our students do. But it is something to think about. So we talk to them, and one of the things in the job search strategy workshop is to introduce these topics that we want students to start to think about. Interviewing skills, of course, is basic interviewing skills and making sure students understand what do you need to know about a virtual interview, what about, I'm trying to think, in-person and panel interviews. We just had an employer contact us, which we were really happy about, because how many of you know about HireVue? You may use HireVue at your organization. So HireVue is a platform that companies use to interview candidates, not just students, but professional candidates. And the way these interviews are conducted is your first round is on this virtual platform, and it's timed. So when the student logs into the interview, there's it'll ask them a question, and there's a countdown timer. That would drive me nuts. This is why I'm not looking for a job today, because there's a countdown. So you have to answer the question within the countdown and give a coherent and answer that will allow, so that's the interview, and it goes through this, but they're finding that, guess what? Candidates are having a hard time getting through. And I'm thinking, no kidding. But they're doing this to increase volume. So students are being weeded out we have to train students on how to interview. So what we have is Big Interview. Big Interview is a platform that your student can use to practice virtual interviews. And we also have this employer who contacted us will be coming in to do a workshop on how to interview through HireVue. So the employer themselves are going to come and teach our students how to prepare for a HireVue interview. So if you go out there and interview, you could very well receive a HireVue invitation. So I hope that I've given you some tidbits on how to prepare for your HireVue interview. So they would have completed those. Again, I'm saying meet with a career advisor. You will always see me say that. Keep meeting with us. Start your job search, because you're now a sophomore and you should already be applying and attending employer events, not just to learn, but now to actively engage with these employers. So for our fall semester, we had what we called hybrid career connections events. Hybrid because the demand for Stevens students is really high with employers, and the number of students who want to come is really high. So we created a hybrid model. That model consisted of several networking nights, and then those were in person, two virtual career fairs, and then multi-company interview days. So we've had 2 multi-company interview days on campus, which means if your student lives on campus, all they have to do is walk to the UCC. And within those 2 days, close to 150 students interviewed on campus. I was telling the parent that yesterday I gave a presentation to the Executive Alumni Board for Mechanical Engineering, and one of our employers who was an alumnus, was sitting next to me, and I said, can you share your experience? And he said, no, because I don't want to give out my secret. And I was like, help me out. So he said they attended each event. They came to the networking night, they did the virtual career fair, and the multi-company interview day, and he said, we're going to make 9 offers next week. So that interview day was last week, and he's telling me yesterday that next week they're making 9 offers, and that's just one company. So when you think of that combination of allowing students to meet with these employers from a networking night, which is very casual, and they come in, we require students to dress up, so make sure your students have their attire because we check at the door. Trust me when I say they will come in jeans and shorts and everything else, and I know it's not going to be their best presentation, even though it's comfortable for them, and we will pull them out of line. Some of them run back to their dorm and they change, and when they come out, they'll say, thank you so much for making me change my clothes. And others get mad at us, but that's okay, because they represent the school, and they represent other students, and they represent the Career Center when they're doing that, and we want to make sure that they are prepared. And if it's a lesson learned, they'll be ready the next time. I'm old school. I'm a parent myself, as you might be able to tell. So, all they have to do is you take them out of line one time, they'll be great the next time they come back. But when you think about that combination in the students, we tell them, go to networking night, go to the career fair, apply to the jobs. And then when you meet with them at the career fair, tell them, I came to networking night and I met a representative. I applied to your jobs. You're showing interest. And that's what an employer wants. Who's interested in our company? So when students engage with us, these are the things that we're telling them. How do you really put your best foot forward? Okay. Carl, are you up there? I don't want to run out of time. Make sure. Okay, so the importance of getting work. So work experience is really, really important because it prepares our students for what our employers are looking for. So the impact of work experience before graduation is paramount in today's job market for students. Hopefully I have a slide in here. I do. So what's important, this is a study that was conducted by NACE. NACE is the National Association of Colleges and Employers. It's the national trade association that college career centers and employer university recruiters are associated with. So it's our trade association. And every year, NACE conducts a survey with employers to determine what are the attributes that you're looking for when you're selecting candidates if all other attributes are the same. And what you will see in the top 5 are work experience. So one is, has completed an internship with my organization. So that's gonna be number 1. The next one is, has completed an internship in their industry, so with a competitor. And then you'll see general work experience. So remember that first year I said, let them get some type of work experience? So if you think of 3 of the top 5 things that employers look for are work experience. It's, and major, what's your major, because that matters for the job, and whether they have leadership. And to me, they might say this, it matters, but then it doesn't. What's gonna matter, what will trump leadership every single time is work experience. Anybody in here hire people? I'm sure you do. You agree with me or disagree? Agree. I love it when, you know, because the work experience is the thing that is going to be applied, and what every employer is looking for, and I use this example when I'm training my team. The reason the job is open is because there's some kind of problem because having open jobs, it's not easy to get an open vacant position, right? So a brand new job is because there's some need in the organization. So jobs are generally because there's a need in the organization, someone has resigned or been terminated in some way. Let's see, what other, there might be a few other, but whatever it is, it's a pain. So there's a pain point because somebody is doing that work while there is a need in that vacancy. They want you to be the aspirin. They want you to take the headache away. You have to be, whether you are a professional or whether you are a student. Are you going to help me solve my problem because I'm a busy person and the one that can slot in quicker, and it's no different for a student, that's the one they're going to hire. So this employer who says, I'm gonna make 8 or I'm gonna make 9 offers is because he saw something in those students, and we looked at his schedule, he probably met about 30 students. They interviewed maybe 30 students on interview day because they had 3 representatives, I believe. Anyway, those were selected because they had something that they needed that they felt would help to make their organization better. So every student can be in that category as long as they are prepared, and we're there to help them prepare. So just keep that in mind, that when you look at, GPA wasn't at the top. Now, students who are in here, don't you dare let your GPA slide and then say, Sharina said it's okay for me. I didn't say that, because your GPA, because in the job description, they're gonna have a GPA requirement, so you have to be able to meet that. But I really want the parents to see but I think parents mostly know that, that's why you're here. But what's important for students to understand is that work experience of some type is your ticket to employment. Okay, the co-op program. The co-op program, I'll go over quickly, but it is one of our most robust programs because these students work full-time during their academic semester. So they are alternating a semester of work and a semester of study. So in the fall, they may be working, and in the spring, they will be studying in their coursework. So it's a 5-year program that allows them to work at a employer, and the Career Center works with them to prepare for interviews just like we would with any other student. And these students complete 3 to 4 co-ops in their time at Stevens. Okay, so now we're at the senior year. There are no more summers, because summer is graduation. So if you haven't done what you needed to do before your senior year, because what happens is we have the group that shows up in September of their senior year, and there's nothing on their resume. But they think we're miracle workers, or I'm Oprah Winfrey, and I can say, you get a job, you get a job, you get a job. But I can't. I would love to be Oprah if I had her money, but since I don't have the job. So it's like, well, you are competing against all of your classmates who have internships, and all of those out in the world who will be graduating in May, hundreds of thousands of them graduating, but relatively in the same period of time, all looking for a job. Now, keep in mind, most Stevens students, especially the engineering students and computer science and all of them, are securing their jobs generally by November, believe it or not. A good third of them, more than about 33%, have a job offer. I don't know this year because we haven't checked and we haven't, because the job market is unstable right now. But in normal times, over a third of Stevens students are securing their offers by before Thanksgiving. Haas and the business school is in there too for the fall. It's the biggest recruiting season. But Haas has both because they get the fall plus the spring. So there's going to be a lot more activity in the spring for students in Haas. And then you will have the government. So if you're looking for a government employer, those are generally just in time. So they're going to be fall, spring, and summer. It just depends on when those jobs are posted. So for those who might want to work for the federal government. So now we're at the senior year. And as I said, the hope is that you have some work experience, you've had some fun at college, you've been a part of some clubs, and you've done some great things, and you're going to be looking for your first job. You don't wait till, because we do have students who come in February of their senior year, and we've never seen them, and they want the miracle worker, and it's like, why are you're going to graduate in 2 months. We even see them in May for the first time. Don't let that be your student. They should have been coming with us for 4 years, even if it's a little bit, at least once a semester over the course of 4 years. So in the senior year, we start the college to career action planning. So if your student comes, we start to talk about, and actually, to be honest with you, it depends on the student. For some of them, it's not all that hard because they have the path laid out and they've been with the internships. They know what they want to do. They know where they want to be. But that's not true for every student. And it will never be at any school that's true for any student. So when they come, we meet students where they are. So for those students who have not had internships, we're going to work as hard with them, but we're going to tell them it's going to require more work of you. You're really going to have to work. And students will say, I'm busy. How many of you have heard that? I'm busy, right? I'm too busy. Or I've got class, I've got an exam. Those things are always going to be there. And I feel for students because their coursework is really hard, and job search is one of those things where you have to do everything at the same time. But what's key is if they do a little bit at a time, as opposed to waiting and having this big, overwhelming thing that they have to do called job search. If you do a little bit at a time, it will help. The other thing that's really key is I will tell my team to tell students, if you have 5 classes, your job search is your 6th class. And you put it in your schedule, because they're used to having a schedule. And if you put that in your schedule and you go to class, and you will always think about it. If they had a Tuesday, Thursday job search class, and they dedicated 1 hour to job search twice a week, how much further they would be. That means you don't have to look for a job haphazardly. On Tuesday and Thursday, from 3 to 4, you're going to go in Handshake, you're going to look for jobs, you're going to apply to jobs. Then go play with your friends. On Thursday, you're going to come to the Career Center, you're going to meet with a career advisor, you've done your job search work. So if in any semester they add job search as another class, and stick to it just as they would where the professor says you can't have any absences or 3 absences or whatever. If they dedicate that to themselves, they'll get so much more work done, and it won't change, it won't hinder them, it won't prohibit them, it won't be overwhelming. So that's all they have to do, is add it to their schedule. Isn't that simple? Doesn't that sound simple? Thank you. It works like a charm when it does, you know. So in the fall and spring, we have the networking nights, the fairs, the interview days. In addition to that, we have something called career chats. Career chats are generally in the Career Center. Employers fill all of our offices. We have about 6 employer offices, I think. They're generally filled, by the way, almost every day of the week, at least Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, they're generally always filled. Monday, most of them have someone in. Friday, nobody comes on Fridays. You know, Fridays, and nobody comes. But think about that, 4 days a week, we have employers on campus in the Career Center as well as in the venues across campus. And a career chat allows a student to come to the Career Center to meet with an employer one-on-one. Many of them are Stevens alumni, and they can ask them any question. So it's not an interview, it's not for a job, it's a safe space for them to come and have I can't remember, they might be 20 minutes, a 20-minute chat. They can say, could you take a look at my resume and give me some feedback? I interviewed with so-and-so, and you know, I was wondering if you could give me some advice about this. Tell me about your career path. Now, how do you get a career chat? They will be in Handshake. They're posted in Handshake, so students will see them. All they have to do is search career chat, and you'll see different companies when they're available, and they have to submit a resume, because the person will, the recruiter will select them. So you submit your resume. They go through, the recruiter, not us, goes through the resumes, and they say, these are the people, Career Center, these are the students we'd like to meet. They're not interviews. The Career Center contacts the student puts we open up the schedule to them, it's in Handshake, and the student can pick a time that's convenient for them, you know, so they don't have to miss class, they just pick a time, and then they come to the Career Center and they have their one-on-one career chat. I think it's golden because you get to meet one-on-one with a person and ask them anything you want to ask them. And so for those students who participate in career chats, they find them valuable. We advertise these things all the time. I'm surprised at the number of students who don't come. In addition, if a student lives off campus, for example, and they have an interview that's virtual, they can hold that interview in the Career Center. So there's a form that they fill out, and they reserve the space, and they can come right on campus. They don't have to have their friends in the background and everything, and they can just conduct their interview in one of our, as long as we have an interview room available, and the interview rooms are the same as the employer rooms. So if there's no employer, if there's a room available, they have that space to come and interview right in the Career Center. Okay, so you know that generally for the class of 2022, 97% of our graduates in the class of 2022 secured a outcome, which could be continuing education, military, could be a fellowship, or a full-time job as of within 6 months of graduation. So we in the Career Center collect all of that information and report it. You can find those reports. It's called the class of 2022. We're working on the class of 2023 right now. Report on the Career Center website, and you can just look at, in that report, there's information about each degree program, the overall class, what was the average salary for the degree program, what else is in there? Some snapshots, some little highlights about students and where they're working, and about their experiences. So please take a look at the career outcomes report. So that's the end of my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Any questions? Right, I think over there. Thank you.
Test, test.
Hi.
Are the parents able to actually view that website that you were talking about?
Say that again?
Are the parents, sorry, Handshake, are parents, anyone outside able to see Handshake? I'd be very curious about his activities.
Yeah,
You know, a lot of us have a lot of experience and can provide pointers as
No,
well.
the Handshake is a student account. So only the students have their, they all have a Handshake account as of the first day of class. I guess if your, when your student comes home, they can walk you through their account, but they won't be able, you won't be able to see what we see. So we have the administrative activity, so we see the student, we have a Career Center account as well as all of us have student account and some of us have employer accounts. So we can see what the activity is. So you would not be able to see your student's activity. Yes.
Freshman year.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
First question is, let's say you're a freshman student and you meet and you go to these career fairs. Would that be of any value? The reason for that is, the employers, potential employers may not like you at that point, and that could bias them when you actually start seeing them in sophomore and junior years.
Okay,
So
let me make sure I understand what you're saying. You're saying if a student comes as a first-year student to a career fair and meets with an employer, but they don't do well,
yeah,
will that be harmful to them?
yeah.
I think there's a yes and no to that. I think in general, no, because they are a first-year student. It is an experience, and generally they won't have the same recruiter the next time anyway. Recruiters change so often, and these companies are so big too. The chances of them seeing the same person again, and they'll get better over time. So I think it's okay. People, and they may, I would say no. I would rather a student try than not try. But the key is, and you have to understand, also in Handshake, if it's a virtual career fair, they actually have one-on-one meetings in a virtual career fair. Where in a big career fair where everybody's around, just people all over the place. For a virtual career fair, you meet one-on-one with a recruiter. Again, you schedule your time, but they also have group sessions. And we had a graduate virtual career fair, and for example, Goldman Sachs, and I'm trying to think of who else, Goldman Sachs and maybe Barclays and some other company, they had 500 students in their group session. So in those group sessions, so those are great for first-year students, is to come to the group sessions at the career fair because that's where the companies tell them about the companies and opportunity and how to apply. So first-year students, I encourage them to go to group sessions in the career fair. And there's lots of them. They can sign up for as many companies as they want.
Second question that I have is, and this is the last question. Do you have startups coming to recruit students? And the reason I'm asking is I know at least one startup has asked me if my son can join them in summer. Do they have to come through you, or can
No, I mean, again, a student should get a job in whatever way they get them. So if you have a connection, that's fine. We can help them prepare for any type of job that they're interviewing for. We have startups that come, but it's not as many as you would think. There's so many big companies recruiting at Stevens. The best place for a smaller company is the career fair because the ones that are coming on campus
Thanks.
I'm sorry. Say that again? How do you apply to co-op? Okay. Co-op is an application. If you are within one of the eligible degree programs in your first year, and you have to start in your first year, we have what is called Co-op Decision Day, which is all of the students in those degree programs are invited. It will be in the spring, Co-op Decision Day, and they come and we tell them about the co-op program and everything that's required of it. At the end of co-op, at the end of the presentation, we also have a networking night. We have co-op peer mentors. These are students who completed the co-op program who are seniors. They serve as peer mentors, and students can meet with them any Wednesday in the Career Center. So to find out more, right now, there's co-op peer mentor hours, office hours, where students can just come and meet with one of the seniors who have completed the program. So we invite them. We invite co-op alumni who are out in industry, and then a few companies will come so that there's a networking night that's safe for these, really, their rising sophomores. So they start networking right in their first year. They decide whether now that they know about the co-op program, whether they want to participate in it. Then they do complete an application. After they attend, only the students who attend Co-op Decision Day will receive the application. So they receive the application, they apply, they will work with us and their academic advisor to determine what coursework, because they have to complete all their first year coursework in order to get a job. They'll tell them what they need to complete. They have to do all 4 workshops, SEC 101, 102, 103, and 104. They have to meet with a career advisor to be eligible. Once they meet all those eligibility requirements, their co-op advisor will tell them, they will know. They're just going to be on a co-op work semester, and then they start looking for a job. And we work with them to do that. So there's Co-op Decision Day, which is going to be in the spring, and that's open to first-year students. If they're already a sophomore, junior, or senior, they're not eligible. You start co-op in your first year because of the academic schedule that's required to have the work and your coursework. Did I answer your question? Thank you. You're welcome. Hi. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Okay. So your son is a junior. I can't answer the 3 biggest mistakes because we all make mistakes, including me. I don't get every job I interview for. So, because that's just how job search is. People have all their reasons for making decisions. But what we can do is what I said before. If your student comes to see us, we can analyze what's been going on. And they're going to have a conversation with him to find out more. They're going to look at his resume. They're going to look at, hopefully he has been tracking who he's applied to. We're going to look at all of that and determine where are the roadblocks that your student is experiencing. And then really it's about what do we need to do to get an interview? What do we need to do to get through the interview process? Because the interview process could be a first round interview, but then your student might have to get through second and third round interviews. So we look at where are the roadblocks and what's keeping them from moving to the next phase. Because you got to get through all the phases in order to get to the offer, right? So, the other question is, has your student been coming to all these events that I just talked about, where the employers are right here, and one is going to know any of the advisors. They can meet with any, I tell them to find the right personality. They all have different personalities. Joanne's very motherly. Megan's a mechanical engineer, so she's like, we have Rashmi, who is just the kindest, sweetest person. So they have to find the personality that works for them. The student advisors are very different. So find a combination that works with them, stick with them, and if they want to change, they can move to a different person. If they ever have a problem, they can always come and meet with me. I don't advise students, I problem solve. So if a student is unhappy, they send an email and we address it. You're welcome. Anything else? Yes, there's a question right there.
Well, thanks again. I appreciate all the information that you've provided. Very informative. Also, I'm just curious to know, do you have some type of instruction or class to teach them how to weaponize, for lack of a better term, their LinkedIn profile and their, kind of their online signature?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm sorry I missed it. One of the things we started this semester were labs. So we have a resume writing lab where it's open to 15 students. They can sign up as soon as it's filled, and 2 career advisors will attend that lab. So it's in the Career Center, and they walk around. It's a hands-on, pull up your resume, and they will be right there working with these 15 students, and there's usually a student advisor there. So the labs are very hands-on. There is a LinkedIn lab. They probably just had a couple. There might be some more coming up. I don't remember what the schedule is. But the LinkedIn lab is the same thing. You pull up your laptop, you open up your LinkedIn. They give a very brief overview of LinkedIn in a presentation, and then it's all hands-on. They're looking at their LinkedIn profile. They're giving them tips within the lab. So we're increasing the number of labs that we do so that students can get more hands-on experience. The other thing we did was eliminate info sessions. So these info sessions, which is not really social media, I just want students to know. Info sessions are where someone comes and they make a presentation about their company. And what we did was eliminate that because students are lectured to. This is me in my old school as a mother. It's like they're lectured to all day. Y'all don't get the lecture. So what we created was you come and you do your quick company overview, but at every single event that an employer asks for on campus, the only way they will get a event on campus is if they have a networking at the end. I want students to be able to connect with employers, and I want the employers to bring more of their representatives to campus as opposed to just one person making a presentation. Bring 8. Bring 8, and every student, we give them food, we give them drink. It's pretty good too. So, so everything is a connection now. There is no opportunity where an employer comes on campus where a student will not be able to meet with an employer at the end of the event. Every single one is a connection. Anything else? Hey, hi.
My student is a freshman and has, in high school, had 2 summers of internship already. Is it beneficial to stay with that company or maybe take this summer and do some semester abroad? And if not, when is the best time to do semester abroad?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. If you're saying those internships were during high school, correct? Yes. Okay. It's a plus and there is no minus to that. There's no minus. What I would want your student to do is to get an internship in their college life, because I don't know whether an employer will discount the high school internship. It will depend on, and we're seeing more and more students have internships in college. And when I was in California, they were, amazing high school internships. So those matter because they're already ahead of the other students as far as what it's like to work. I would prefer it was an in-person internship versus a virtual, because employers are having they're kind of funny about these hybrid work arrangements and all this other employers want to see. So the question becomes, how do you fit all this stuff on? So it's important for your students' information to be on, but as they get more internships and study abroad and everything, one page, it's not gonna work. So to use that experience now and get an internship. I would say get an internship, and then they still have time for study abroad, and because he's a little ahead, your student is ahead of the curve. And, you know, meet with a career advisor, and map it out. But don't follow the map. I mean, there's no perfect, you know what I'm saying? There's no perfect answer. But at least start to talk about what it's like. I think, you know, one of the things that we don't think about sometimes is the interpersonal skills. So a student can have a 4.0 and, you know, all of the, but they can't interact with people. They're not gonna get a job. Okay, so it doesn't, so there's so many aspects of what is involved in hiring that there's just, you know, it's not just the grades, it's not just, it's the reason why those employers are saying 3 out of 5 is because they don't want to show you how to make a photocopy. They don't want students coming in to make photocopies, and they want them in the job. So how do they interact with the team? What are their interpersonal skills? What are they bringing to the table that they need? So there's a lot of things that have to make the whole student. So that's why I'm elaborating, because I'm thinking there is no real formula. It's not truly mapped out. It's about the experience. It's about your students still having fun. And so what I walk away with is have that college level internship, get study abroad in, probably with those two. If you can get a second internship in, that would be great. Okay? Anybody else? Well, I hope you learned